Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to tackle a word that you hear absolutely everywhere, Bitcoin. But what is it really? We're going to break it all down nice and simple. Let's dive in. So what's all the hype about? Why is this one word, Bitcoin, one of the most searched things on the entire internet? Well, the reason is it pretty much turns our whole idea of money on its head. We're going to explore exactly what it is, where it came from, and what it all might mean. Okay, so before we can even begin to understand Bitcoin, we got to take a step back and ask a really basic question. What even is money? At its heart, it's just a tool. It's something we use to trade our time and our work for things we want or need. You get paid because you provided value to someone. Simple as that. And the way we've represented that value has changed a ton over the years. We started way back with bartering, trading my wheat for your chickens. Then we moved on to stuff like gold because, hey, it doesn't rot. But carrying gold bars around is a pain, right? So governments started storing the gold for us and giving out paper receipts. And eventually, those receipts just became the paper money we all use today. And this is where it gets really interesting. If you look at a banknote, it's basically just an IOU. It's a promise from the government. It's not backed by gold anymore. It's backed by our shared trust that the government says it's worth something. Think about that. The whole system, it's built on nothing more than a promise. So what happens when that trust gets shaky or even completely breaks? Well, it's right there, in those cracks in our financial system, that the whole idea for Bitcoin was born. You've probably wondered this yourself, right? If money is just a promise, why can't the government just fire up the printing presses, print a ton of it, and solve poverty? Well, the answer explains exactly why Bitcoin was even invented. Let's use a super simple example to see why that doesn't work. We'll call it the potato problem. Imagine your whole town has just 1 kilogram of potatoes for sale. Now, what if the government gave everyone a lakh of rupees overnight? Does that magically create more potatoes? Nope. All it means is that the price of those few potatoes is going to go through the roof. See, printing more money doesn't create more stuff. It just makes the money you already have worth less. And that, right there, is inflation. And this is where we see the real dangers of the system we have now. When you put your money in a bank, you're not just storing it. You're handing over control. They can invest it, and if they make bad bets, like Lehman Brothers did back in 2008, it can cause a global meltdown. Plus, a government can decide to devalue your savings anytime it wants. The whole system only works because we all don't try to get our cash out at the same time. So with all these problems, all these cracks in the system, someone came up with a wild, radical new idea. What if we had a new kind of money? One that didn't rely on the promises of governments or banks, but instead was built on pure, unchangeable math. And get this, the timing was just incredible. It's October 2008. The world is in the middle of a massive financial crisis, and out of nowhere, a paper appears online. It's published by a mysterious person, or maybe a group, named Satoshi Nakamoto. To this day, nobody knows who they really were. And this paper proposed a new kind of electronic cash, a way to send money directly between two people with no bank in the middle. That system was Bitcoin. So this is the absolute key difference. It's what makes Bitcoin, well, Bitcoin. Our current system is centralized. Think of it like one central bank having the one and only master notebook of every transaction. If that notebook gets destroyed or changed, you're in trouble. Bitcoin is decentralized. Instead of one notebook, there are thousands of copies on computers all over the world. To cheat the system, you'd have to find and change all those thousands of copies at the exact same time. It's basically impossible. Okay, so you might be thinking, if there's no bank, who's in charge? Who makes sure a transaction is legit? Well, that's where things get really clever. It's all about something called mining, blocks, and chains. Let's walk through it. Imagine you want to send some Bitcoin. That request gets broadcast to that whole global network of computers. Now, these computers, we call them miners, all start racing to solve a super complex math puzzle. The first one to solve it gets to verify your transaction, add it as a new block of information to the public record, which is called the blockchain, and as a reward for all that work, they get paid in brand new Bitcoin. Okay, I want you to remember this number, 21 million. It's maybe the most important number in the entire world of Bitcoin. That is the total number of Bitcoins that can ever exist. So why that number? Well, remember our potato problem? This is the solution. By programming a hard, unchangeable limit of 21 million coins, Satoshi created a system that is basically inflation-proof. No government, no bank, no person can ever wake up and decide to create more. The supply is fixed by the math.
It's what's called digital scarcity. You literally can't make more.
So that's the big revolutionary idea. But like with any game-changing technology, the reality on the ground is, well, it's a little more complicated. Bitcoin comes with a ton of promise, but also some really big risks and unanswered questions. On one hand, the promise is huge, right? A system controlled by no one, where you are truly in charge of your own assets and it's protected from inflation. But on the other hand, you have the reality. The price can swing wildly, you can't just spend it everywhere like regular money, its anonymous nature can be used for illegal stuff, and governments all over the world are still trying to figure out what to do with it. And that whole regulation thing is a really big deal. Take India, for instance. You are legally allowed to buy and sell Bitcoin, but it's not considered official money by the government. What that means is if you get into it, the buck stops with you. All the risk is yours.
So here's where we land. Bitcoin was born out of a crisis, a direct answer to the problems in our traditional financial world. It offers a totally different vision for the future. So the billion-dollar question, or maybe the 21 million Bitcoin question, is this. Is this the actual future of money? Or is it just a brilliant but ultimately flawed idea? Honestly, the final chapter of that story is